Yep. Awesome. Okay. So yesterday we were sort of building, we were just playing around, but today we are going to be building a new app. So let's uh let's give our app a new name. So you want to build a new startup. So can you suggest some new name? So the app we are building is a podcast listener app. So think of podcast listener app as you have Spotify, you have Google Podcasts, you have a whole lot Apple Podcast, a whole lot of podcast apps. In fact, I built this for MTN back in the day. Not this one. Uh, wait, where is it? Um, okay, this is it. I built this for MTN. You see, it's hosted on MTN's Play Store. So I built it for them. It's basically a podcast app, like something you are building. So this was built, released last year. So you can see your favorite Nigerian stuff. And you can play, you can select. Even though it doesn't have a lot of downloads, just 1,000 downloads. But it has pretty good reviews, even though the reviews are from. But yeah, so we built this. We built this for MTN. I was the sole developer on this app. Once we finished and launched, then I was off the project. It was good. If you know how to build apps, people will you chop money. I think I was chopping some nice money back then. Okay. So someone is saying that maybe 1K is not 1,000 downloads is not a lot in the grand scheme of things. I built this one too. I led the project. It's just 10K. Sterling Bank's Spectre app back then had over 100,000 downloads, and I built that alone also. So it's not some big numbers. So we are gonna create a project. So if you set it up on VS Code, there's actually a command. If you go to flutter.dev and it go get started, you can see. Also, I want to introduce you also to this code lab that with Flutter. If you want to learn on your own, Flutter has really good code labs that can help you. So let me drop this link. So in your own, you can the code lab works like someone wants to get the list of apps that I've built. No, what do you want it for? Okay, so Flutter has all this code lab that you can follow. Look at it now. So introduction, you can learn the basics of how Flutter works. You can create layouts. They have nice video for you to follow. And then you can see setting up your Flutter environment. So you can see how you can set up your Flutter environment. Oh, someone wants me to increase it. You can see how you can set up your Flutter editor. So if you have Android Studio, you can. So the recommended VS Code, which is what I'm using, and you can just follow the code lab and click on next. You see, we covered all this yesterday. By the way, you see, when you want to create a new Flutter project, let's say you set it up on VS Code, I'm going to do exactly what they do. So you go to your terminal, no, you go to this, your view here, and then you go to command palette. And just type in Flutter, it will bring up all this command here. And you can see new projects and a whole lot of options here. But what we're interested in is the new project, right? So as I mentioned, we want to build this our app now. Let's give it a name. So can you suggest some names? If your name is cool enough, we are going to use it to build the project. And when we finish, we probably will host it. But disclaimer, if our app is making money, you are not going to make anything just because you give me name. Sorry. It's a disclaimer. This is a video recording. Somebody says you should name the app Lexicon. Why? So when you want to tell somebody to go and download the app, you say, I go and download the app. The app name is Lexicon. I look at you like, what the hell? Why is your app name Lexicon? Oh, someone said Caster. My problem is the name is too popular, and there's a big chance someone that the name. Oh, that's interesting. I so what I'm thinking is WePod. So they have something like WePod. So if we say we want to launch our app, it already has WePod. It even has 100,000 downloads. So that's it. Someone mentioned ports only. It looks interesting. I think I like the ports only. Someone said pod app. I sort of. Oh, sorry, somebody asked pod app. You see, it already has pod app. People are thinking like you're thinking. But I sort of like ports only. So there are a lot of pod app outside. This one is based in Canada. Oh, they have all this shiny things as you move the mouse. Interesting. And there is pod app. Sorry, pod app is off. There's a lot of people that's thinking like me. Okay. So I'm going to go with pods only. It looks like we are talking about the naming, but part of the problems developer face is actually naming. How to name their app. Why is this person giving me missed calls? I don't know you. And it's on WhatsApp. I think it's all these scam calls. There's a lot of scam calls in Canada. Okay, so we are going to call our app ports only. So let's go to our command palette. So if you press Flutter, you'll be able to do new project. Application, I'm going to start with empty. So there are other templates here that you can choose from. But for now, I'm going to do application empty. It's going to tell you where do you want to save it, and you select the folder, and then we call it pods only. Who's the person that gave pods only? Ahmed, good. Good. So if you follow here, the same thing that we did. Okay. So they're just telling you a couple of things. So we have our first project. Why is it doing like this? So now let's run port only on our 14 Pro Max, which is this is a simulator. It helps you simulate your app, run it like it's a normal device, but there are limitations to simulators. Okay, but there's a big chance that this will work normally. And actually, also you can run, if you have a phone, you also can run this on the phone. If you just connect your USB to your phone will probably pop up here, and you can run the app on your phone. So it gives you. Somebody suggested trenches.com. So let's say I build the app and let me trenches. And I say, I have a new project. Go and download it. What's the name? Trenches. Who is going to download that? Okay. So I mentioned yesterday and about the structure. So I talked about the structure of a Flutter project. Now, today I did not talk about this one, which is a port spec.yaml file. So what is a port spec.yaml file? It's basically a configuration file for your Flutter project. And you can see when we give it a name, when we name the project, it shows here ports only. You can describe it, what your app is about. A podcast listener app. And this version is versioning. I've never sort of used this published too, but this version, it's pretty important because once you build your app and upload to the store, it has a version attached to it. When you want to upload a new one, the Play Store or App Store is not going to allow you to upload the same version. It will want you to increase the version a bit, so that's how to know when there are new changes to your app. When there's a new version, your app will ask you to update your app and stuff. So you can increase the version here. And this environment is literally telling you the SDK version of your Flutter and Dart. So it talks about the constraints of your of the SDK that is here. And then if you check this dependency, you'll probably be using it a lot. Dependencies is just like the name. What your project, Flutter project, depends on. So the default dependency is that this our project is depending on the Flutter SDK. What do you mean? So just think of SDK as like something that enables you to do stuff. So something that so Flutter is like a framework, like that helps you. So this your Flutter project is depending on Flutter. It's logical, right? So if you have other packages are like things that other people have written that will help you. We are going to be using some packages in this project. So there's a place so let's say you figure out something and you solve something, you can publish it as a package so that other people too can use it. So there's a public place in Flutter that the Flutter community puts all their stuff. So they publish it on a website called pop.dev. You are going to be using it a lot because there are some things that instead of you to rewrite it all over again, somebody have done a better job of doing it. So there's no point um, reinventing the wheel. There's a caveat to it, but for now, there's no point inventing the wheel. So you can see popular packages. For example, you want to have camera in your app, there's a package for it. You want to do lots of animations, there's a package for it. State management, you want to zoom photo, all those zoom in things, there's a package for it. There's a lot of package for it. In fact, you can search anything. You can search anything. Oh, there's no package for DWFG. Wow. I thought there would be a package for it. I don't know what that means, but there's no package for it. Okay, so you see, you can search and there's a package for it. Let's say you want to do barcode scanner. You want your phone to scan barcode. There will be a package for it. You see? Even though this is 3 years ago, but there are ones that is 10 days ago that they have updated, and people are publishing really good stuff. So also, one of the ways to determine if your packages that you want to really use, you can look at the number of likes that it has, and there are port points here. I don't know why it's not loading. And then you can look at the popularity. This is 1,100 and it has a lot of likes. So that means that people like it. But it's been 2 years ago since it's updated. Good thing is you can look at the repository and see if there are some work on it. So you can, so there are people that are sending in code contribution. Personally, I wouldn't use this kind of app since it's been long it's updated it. But that's by the way. So now we talk about dev dependency. They are like your dependencies, but this anything you add in your dev dependency just helps you with they helps you give you functionality that will only work in development areas. So it doesn't get bundled with the app. It just works in your development. It helps with your development. Okay, so you can configure some things for the Flutter itself. So there are a lot of other configurations here. So let's say you want to use a picture in your app. You cannot just drag it. You have to register it with Flutter itself. So here you're gonna see how, if you are going to use image, you're gonna see we are going to do that. Okay, so we have your main.dart. I've explained it to you, and I mentioned that Material app is like a configuration widget for your Flutter. So let's go to this library folder. Let's create a new folder. And I'm going to name the folder UI. What does UI mean? It's not University of Ibadan. Or University of India. It simply means user interface. So what I'm doing now is creating a user interface folder for all the user interfaces we are going to be using. So it makes sense here. So now, when someone launches the app, like I showed you in the preview, there's a first page that they come to. And that first page I want to call the first page like screen. That. Look at the way I name it. You can see that home screen, they are like two words. So to separate it, I use an underscore. It's a convention. So you want to follow this convention. Some of you that came from React Native background, this is how you will write it. But sorry, it makes sense to do it like this. JavaScript people. Okay, so we want to create. So let's talk about. I talked a bit about stateful widget and stateless widgets yesterday, and I talked about widgets. So when you want to create, no, now we want to create a canvas for. Let's do something. So so this will be like our home screen, right? This is our home screen. So what we want to do is we want to do welcome, and then another text will be here. What do you want to listen today? So once somebody comes, we show that person this thing. But this welcome will be bigger. So it looks good. You see, I've finished design. I'm a designer. You want to try me? Oh, someone wants to know how I transitioned my ID to the right. It's like you people like the right. A lot of people love the left, but I don't like left. It's always, you can see that it flows to the right, so I just enjoy. But I think you can do it somewhere. I can't remember. Fire window to the left. Oh no. See. Sorry. I think it's beyond the scope of this class. You can always Google that, so I don't waste. Yeah, probably in VS Code settings. So this is on screen, and we want to create like this. So now look at it now. Let's break this UI down. So we want to have a screen that has this like a paper, like a canvas. And then we want to have a text here and another text here. You know, this is text, right? This is text, like you have Microsoft Word. So look at it like a Microsoft Word. So this one is going, the color is, can I change the color? Yeah, the color is white, right? For these people mind, this is white. Okay, I got it though. There's the white. It doesn't give me pure white. Wow, it's giving me dark. I thought white is supposed to be FFFF. Okay, so my text is going to be this stroke. How do you feel this? No way. It just shows the stroke. Okay, I found it. So, yeah, so this is what you want to have, right? So let's create this paper under it first. And then we are going to create this text and then this text in code. So let's look at it. So now you want to create the whole paper. But how do you create a paper? You have to create like a widget for it. And we call that stateless widget. So luckily, you don't have to think of the command. VS Code or any ID you have has the shortcut for it. So all you have to do is STLESS. STLESS. And you see that it already highlights stateless, Flutter stateless widget. And I'm going to hit enter. Boom. And it gives me uh, everything. So you can see that it highlights this. It's telling you that you should edit this. So it highlights two places. It's telling you that edit it to whatever you want to. So make sure you give it a really good name. Capital letter to start your variable name. A class name. So when you want to write a class name, I'm going to talk about class a bit in future, but this is how you are going to write it. I've seen some people start with small letter. Again, JavaScript people. Huh. But yeah, so now, because the name is really important here, what you are saying is that you are creating a class of the name home screen. When you want to reference this anywhere, the name here is what you're going to reference. So let's sort of save that. And now we want to reference this home screen. Let's reference this home screen. And in the material app, like I mentioned yesterday, we want to delete this guy. I want it to reference the home screen. That's the name of the home class that we created. And see, it's giving you this error. To fix it, once you click on it like this, you will see this light bulb. It's helping you to, it's not AI. It's not AI. It's not artificial intelligence. It's just part of the SDK to help you and life easy for you. So they call it the analyzer. So click on the light bulb and it will help you fix it. So you can import that home screen. So when you want to use any screen in another place, in somewhere, you have to import it. You have to tell it that I want to import this this screen or this class. So you click on import, boom. You see, the red goes off. And when you save that, luckily there's hot reload in Flutter. Hot reload means that as you save it, you'll be seeing the changes live. Again, React Native people, sorry, I think you people have your hot reload now. Copy. Okay, but the moment you save it, you will see it live on your emulator. Boom, it works. You see, Flutter is so beautiful because you can create things on the go. Okay, so why is it having black when we actually want the background to be white? It's because we only created a widget. We are returning just a placeholder. We are telling it to create a placeholder, which is not what we want. We want to create a sheet of paper. And I told you, if you want to create a sheet of paper, you have to use a scaffold widget. So a scaffold widget will allow you to create that sheet. And when you save, you see, boom, it's white. Well, it's white actually, but you have not told it to be white. In some future videos, we talk about theming of the app, where you can control how it looks from a place. But for now, I'm just going to show you so that you understand. So now we have created a sheet of paper. There are properties in this sheet of paper that you can, just like you're playing around with Microsoft Word, you can, if you have Microsoft Word, you can look at the background and say, I want to change the background of my page to blue. Same thing here. You can just hover your mouse on the scaffold and look at what's possible. You can see it has a body. It has background color. What can we do with the background color? Let's give it a background color. So you have written background color here. When you want to give it something, you have to put this Fine. What is it called? Column. Yeah. I have to give it the column sign. Column sign. And give it whatever it wants. So if you hover on this background color, you can see that the type, remember I talked about type yesterday. So the type is a custom type which comes with Flutter is color. So the best way I usually do it is I just copy this type here, put it here, and see what's possible. How do you see what's possible? If you put dots in your color, you see there are a couple of options for you. But for the color class, say if you hover on it, is a class of color. So if you scroll down here, it says there's also a class called is a color class that defines all the color in the material design specification. Let's click on it. It will open a new page. Now, let's go back. Remember that when we are configuring our project, it already includes use material design. Material design is like a UI design language that Google proposed. So Flutter was built around that. Okay, so that's why when in your main page, you are returning a material app. You get it? You get it now, huh? Simple, right? So let's go to the color class. I want to teach you how to read documentation straight from start because it will save you a lot of time. So this is the color class. So the color represents material designs color palette. See, material design. It's for Android though. Material design is to team Android. Again, trenches people wins again. Oh no. But you can see it has material design palettes. You can see all the colors here. So how do you use this color class? You can see I'm more concerned here. So if you want to give color to anything, if it has the color or background color, it has the color class, you can immediately just do colors dot blue, colors dot red, and give it whatever you want, as long as it's contained in the material design, right? So there are other color palettes too. You can say colors dot pink and give it a shade. If you want this color, you get, excuse me. So it has all of this bala blue, lava. So we can easily just give, so let's try it. So we want this color as our background. So you can say colors.red.shade50, right? Let's try that theory. Go back to our home screen. Instead of color here, we can then do colors dot red dot shade 50. Yeah, you like what you see, you like what you see. Boom. You see, what does it give you? Are they the same? Yeah. So you know how to use colors now, right? And I kind of like this UI. It's better than white, right? It's better than white, right? Should we stick to this color? If we put black on it, it will make sense.
Let's stick to this color. Let's stick to this color, sir.
But why are you people not talking in the comments? I thought we will be using the comments more. This class is so dull. I miss my last class. Those people are lively. Is it because Tinubu is your new president? When I thought the last flight was Buhari, maybe it could be. Yeah. God will help you people. Okay, so now we have a good background for it. Remember that we wanted to do white before. So we can actually do colors.white. It will give you white. Boom. And then the colors.red.shape. Someone says, can we follow a real UI design? So are you telling me that my UI design is fake? Wow, I didn't know. But during the course of this, we are going to reference some Figma designs that I have for some of the things that we want to do. No, it's not what I want to see. I have some really nice, see, I have some nice templates here that we will follow at some point. So, for example, we have this design, which I will just reference a couple of things. We design a couple of components of it. And I have, what else? See, this one. The mobile. You see, you can see. So we are going to reference a couple of things here. For example, we could reference this UI design for our player. So other than wanting you to also follow UI design, you should be able to also look at how color mix also. But we are going to mix them. But for now, look at the best design in the world. Bingo, this is it. And then we're going to. So you are shading me, right? That I'm not using a real design. Wow. And I thought that was a really good design. Oh, so I was already coding. So let's now we have made the background white, which is good. Now we so for remember I told you that this scaffold is like a sheet of paper, right? Now there is a body parameter here, and it takes in a widget. So whenever you see a type to be a widget, it can take in anything as long as that thing is a widget. You can even take another stateless widget, take another stateful widget, take another material app. As long as it's a widget, it's as flexible as possible. So what this thing is saying is that you can put anything as long as it's a widget there. So in this case, let's go to we are going to, now let's put anything in this our body. So here is when I will talk to you about layout. I think I have it somewhere here. Yes, layouts. Okay. So there are two layouts that is really important that I wanted to know in Flutter. And they are called, and you will use it if you understand this layout, you can build anything. Well, most things in Flutter. And they are so simple layouts. They are called the row and the column layout. it allows you to lay out, it allows you to specify how your UI is going to look and the position is going to look, right? So now let's talk about it a bit. Where is it? Where's it? Okay, so let's make go here. So now look at this screen that you want to create, or maybe even if you have a Figma, whatever. Let's go. Give me a minute. Okay, let's talk about layout now. And I'm going to put it side by side with this. So now we have created the background, and we call, you remember that is the scaffold. Let's see if I can pick this apart, which is the frame. If you you can see that when we click on this frame, it highlights all the whole thing, and it's white, right? If you look here on your Figma, let me off this div. I can't. So let me take the frame again. If you look at it properly, you see this hue, this color is white actually. So that's what we have created. We have created the background, but in our case, the shade is 50. Now, if you look at this UI, when you're building UI, you need it to flow from the top to the bottom. So we take it from the top to the bottom. Remember, I said methods allow you to sequentially tell a computer how to do what to do, and that's the same thing. Look at it with your brain too. Now, if you are designing this UI, are you going to start from here? Well, maybe no. Just think of it as you are going to start from the top to the bottom. Look at it from the top to the bottom. Okay, so we have this top, which comes from this battery thing. You are not coding this. You are likely going to start from here, right? And you have this, you have this, you have this, you have all these guys. So anything that flows from top to bottom that you want to code, from top to bottom, that you are going to add here, add here, add here, like you are reading a book, we call it a column, right? We call it a column. But anything that flows from left to right, or right to left in some cases, we call it a row. So so when you are composing your widget, anything that you want to put, you have to put it in a row or a column if it's going to have multiple things. So now in our case, you have welcome, you have what do you want to listen today, Which one do you think is appropriate between these two layouts to use? Right?
The column.
Yeah, it will be the column because you have this one first at the top, then you have this one next. Let's say we have something like this, something like this, something like this. You can see that this one is flowing from left to right. 1, 2. You can scroll here. You can left to right. Then you use a row. But if you are looking at it from top to down, this is a column. That means you have to put this text in the column, this thing in the column, and this whole segment in the column. So when you now get here, you will not do it in a row. So that means we have text, another text, right? And then because all these elements here, these elements, you have to put it in a row, right? So we have this row, which this is the row. Let's call it a row. And we have all these guys in the row, right? And then you have to put this one in the column. So it goes here. All this old one, it goes here. So inside the column, you have a text, and this whole row that goes here. So you have text, text, row. Do you understand? If you don't understand, type in the comment too. And because this is really important, this can, if you don't understand this, if you understand this, you can just look at a UI design and you can recreate it picture perfect like this because you can see. So let's look at this now. So if I want to implement this, I have the sheet of paper, which is a scaffold. And I'll look at it. Okay, how do I do it? This one comes first, some comes second, and they come sequentially. That means I will have a column first, right? And then I now want to put this one. What does this one has? This is the row because you have this one, a space here, and then this one, and then this one. So I will put this whole row first inside the column. So column, the children of the first child will be this row. The second one in the column will be this image. And then you keep going. So you can look at the design and already figure out, oh, this is how you can code it. Think of it, think about it. So now let's implement. So as I mentioned, because they flow from top to bottom, I'm going to be using a column here. So when you use a column, I mentioned that you have to put text inside the column. So how do you put it inside? There is a property called children. That means they are children of this column. So in Flutter, they use things like child, children a lot. Why? Because if you want, there's always a parent widget. So this is a parent. So if you want this one to show, you have to put it inside of that parent widget. So because this one and this one flows, you want to show it in a column, you have to put it as a child of this one. Okay, so let's do that. And then we do, there's a widget called text, which allows you to write text. All you just need is to pass in a string. What is this saying? Welcome. So let's put welcome. Let's save it. Okay. So we have added welcome. Why is it not showing? It's actually showing. See? It is actually showing. But it's showing at the top left, which makes sense. If you open a Microsoft Word document and you want to start typing, where is it going to start? It's going to start at the top left of the document because that's the starting point, right? But there are a few tricks that will allow you. What we want to do is we want it to come down here. We want it to be so. Oh, no. Hey, my UI. I get what that person is saying that my UI shit, but I understand you. I understand you now. That you're yapping me about my UI. But anyways, it's a sketch. That's why it's sketch. So now there are a few tricks for it. So let's say the first one that people go to is, which you probably use a couple of ways, is you can see that from the top here to the top of the screen, you know that this our welcome in our code is starting from here. I can do it that to move it here by just adding a space from top here to here. This will now make me teach you, show you how to add a space from the top, a space between two elements. So look at it, this welcome is at the top left, right? If I add a space, so adding a space is not just you doing like this, so it will not do anything. It will, sorry. So to add a space, there's a widget called sized box. Size box. And inside the size box, it has a property of height and width. You see, height and width. If you want to give space to a column, you know, column flows from top to bottom now, so up and down. So if you want to give space, you will use height now. It makes sense. If it is in a row, to give space, what will you use? A width, because you want to put, it goes from left to right. So anything that goes from left to right, you put a width. Anything that goes from top to bottom, you put a height. Make sense? Logical, right? So we are going to give it a height. Let's give it a height of 20. See, you don't come here. But it's still not looking fantabulous. I don't want it to. So let's just do it for now. That's not the best optimal way to do it, but let's put it for now. Okay. So why is it now starting from the left here? There is another widget that you can use. You can see in all our this thing. All these things is not starting from the edge here. It's like it has a consistent space. See? From left here, it has a consistent space. So there is a widget in Flutter called padding that you can use to add padding to all your, so to your elements. So if I want to put padding to all the element, all the children inside this column, what I'm going to do is to just add padding to the column. So how do I do that? To not disturb yourself, just click on this column and then click on this light bulb. Who is that with strange car? You just excuse, there's a car outside disturbing. And you can just show this light bulb, click on it, and you see an action called wrap with padding. And when you click on that, it's going to wrap your column. You see, it wraps it in a padding. And then it gives it a padding option. If I save this, what does it give me? You can see that it's no more starting from the end. I want to give it 20 here. I give it 20 there. I want to this back to 40. So this has some other option, but you see this edge insert dot all. What it does is it just give the same amount of padding to your left, to your right, to your top, to your bottom. If you want the padding to only apply in one place, you can use the option only. If you want it to just happen on left, right, you can use the option symmetric. You can play around with it. It's not everything that I teach you people. You get it. Okay. Now, but there's one problem. Our welcome does not look big. So we want to style it. Style. Look at the words I'm using. I want to style it. I want to make it finer. I want to give it a bold. I want to give it a maybe you can give it a color like you're doing Microsoft Word. See, Flutter is like doing Microsoft Word actually. So it's just that you're writing the code. So there's a property on text called style. And what will it take? It take a text style, right? So remember in Microsoft Word, if you want to give a font size you want to make it big, you say, you after Microsoft Word, they say, increase the font. How do you increase the fonts? Simple. We just do font size. Let's give it a font size of 30. Yeah, it's big. A big. So let's say, they now say, make it bold. Bold. Let's make it bold. We give it a font weight. See? A font weight. Can give it any of this, but for here, I'm going to give it a font weight of bold. It's important that I'm teaching you. There's a reason I'm really slow with teaching you layouts because it's important. So once you grab layouts, then our next classes will be really fast. But I'm still teaching you in the introductory mode. So don't think that this is really slow. I know some of you are really good with layouts, but okay, so we have written welcome in a column. Good thing is we can also just copy and paste this text and we write, what do you want to listen today? Oh, see, let's reduce this font to 20. And the font weight, let's put 400 because it's too bold. That's not what you want. See? I think it's too much safe. Let me give it 16. Okay. So, hey, it doesn't look like this. Oh. Wahala. Wahala. This is Wahala. Okay. So how do I make it look like this? You can see that this welcome starts here. This welcome now enter. So there's a property on column that you can play around with. So the property will allow all the children to conform to that property. And the property is called cross axis alignment. Cross axis alignment is saying that the axis from the top to bottom, how do you want it to show? That's cross axis alignment. And you can put the alignment to start. Like you want all the children to start from the left. And when you do that, yay, bingo. There's also some options. You can do dot center. You want them to center, which is default. Or you want it to go to the end with is to the end. Okay, so now this gives me an option. Why is it that when I put it in the end, it's stopping here? So if you look at it, there in this column, there is nowhere in this column that I have specified the width, how the amount of space is going to take in my phone. The reason is, so how did he now layer it here? The only thing is that he's going to look at the children and look at the one that takes the most space and just use it at the width. But now it doesn't make sense because it's stopping not at the end. So how do you fix that? You can simply give this column a size. Remember, I told you if you want to give something a size, you use a size box. So clicking on this light bulb, I can wrap this with a size box. And I can give it a width. So some people use double dot infinity to just tell you that you can take as much width as you want. But no, that's not what I'm going to do. So there is a method here in Flutter that allows you to just get this size of the screen, which I'm going to do. So it helps you building UI that fits the design, responsive design. So there's media query function here. And when you do dot off, it takes in a context. I can say dot size, dot width. I have to remove this const stuff. See that it has gone to the end. And remember that we added a padding of 20. So that padding still applies. What does this build context do? So inside Flutter, every widget that you are building has a location. Has a location. So this context will tell you internally in Flutter, it tell you what location of the widget is. Because as you are building it, you can see that this thing looks like a tree. You start from the scaffold. Inside the scaffold, you have a padding. Inside the padding, you have a size box. Inside the size box, you have a column, and all these ones as a children. So this is like the root. And you're putting this on top of it, putting this on top of it. Before you know it, looks like a tree, right? It looks like a tree. As you are going up, this branch has other branch, right? So that is how Flutter is looking at all of this. So to get the position of a branch, it uses this context. You understand? So in case it comes up in an interview, they usually love to ask all those questions properly. Yeah, so let's, instead of end now, let's just return this back to, so I'll build this. Woo! Awesome. So now is the time to ask questions before we continue. Any questions?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There's a question, sir.
Okay.
Sir, you used this media query to the. You said if we use it any screen, it will be the UI will be adaptable to any screen.
It will take them as much width as possible.
Okay, but how about the static measurement that we are using for like the font size and the like the size book, for example, that you used height that used to put the height of the column.
Yeah, for the size box, it's
Okay.
going to still give the height 40 to every device. So You can also sort of calculate the height, but you are going to do based on the design. So you can sometimes, instead of doing for this one, you can say, I want to take the height of the screen, the height of the screen, uh, and divide it. I want to divide the screen. So maybe I want to divide it by 0.1. Let it cost somewhere. Sure. See, it will take the whole screen divided by 0.1. That's 0.1. It will automatically add it. So whatever size, whatever screen size you have, you just take the screen size and do it like that. But for this purpose of this tutorial, I'm going to leave it as 40. Um, oh, I just saw a news. So mind you, oh, the gears left Man U. Yeah. So Man U will be good again.
Hello.
Yes?
Can we still ask questions?
Yeah, you can ask questions.
So, the media query you're using with the percentage, like 5%, 3%. What I'm getting at is sometimes how do you know, like what's it called, the space is gonna take for you to just determine either 0.02%, 0.02 or 0.05, or you understand my question?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Um, there's no there's a couple of calculations to actually do there. Actually, so that's why there are, like I mentioned, there are actually some packages that you can use. So people usually like to do this screen util. Wait, there's one screen util that people use. Yeah, this one that people use, and it has some extension methods that if you give it the height, you give it the extension method, and it will sort of use the height. But usually, so you can see that when you want to give it a height, you have to give it .h.width extension. So what it does is that at the beginning, you have to configure it to, let's look at, okay, it's not here. At the beginning, you have to tell it a design size based on your design. And then it will now use that to calculate how much space or how much size it's going to give based on that design. It's usually not accurate, you understand? But the way we do it is that we just use our inner eye to look at it. That okay, this is the amount of space. It's usually not that accurate, but this package sort of take the design size and then relatively give the size that's supposed to give. So you don't have to worry about you want to use media query to do that. So it will just look at the size, maybe you gave it a 40, and then it will look at your device and then look at your design size and then give it a size that is relative to your screen size based on your design. We can look at what it's doing under the hood a bit. So this is the size extension. So these are all the extensions that they use. I want to look at. So okay, so there's an extra size here. This is when it configures. It says takes your design size. In fact, it has support for split screen. So it takes in your design size and then look at your screen orientation too. If you're in landscape or portraits, and then it adapts your text to it. So when you're initializing the library, you have to give it a design size. You have to tell it if it's in split screen mode. So you see, it still uses media query under the hood, like I did there. And you can see some getters that it has. Your screen width is basically your media query width. It also considers your bottom bar and consider your status bar as well. See, the ratio of actual height to the UI design. Wait. So, where am I? I don't know. Okay. Okay, so the ratio of actual height to UI design. See the scale height. It checks if you are in sprint script mode. It takes a max from that math class, checks your screen height, and it takes the max out of it. If it's in screen mode, it uses this, else it uses your screen height, then divides it by the design of your UI, that your Figma design that you configured in the beginning, and then divide it. That's how to actually get the actual ratio of your UI design. It does some math underneath, but it's not. So you can look at all the what's doing under the hood and see what it is. Okay. Someone says. Okay, someone says explain media query. So in Flutter media query. Let us look at it together. So media query just helps you to access some things. Like, for example, if you want to know the size of the window, size of your phone, media query helps you with that. Because if you know the size of the device, people have different devices, big, small. Some people are using TechnoSpark. If you are using TechnoSpark, my app will never run under your phone. Because why are you using TechnoSpark? Okay, anyways. So it helps you to get access some screen information about the phone. So that way, people, even in HTML, CSS, people you use media queries because that's how you adapt your UI to, for example, if you reduce the size of YouTube, you can see that it's resizing. So they are basically just using the size of the device. They get the size of the device and use it to render what screen and what's the UI based on the UI. And so if the size is big, so there's a widget in Flutter that so you can see that as I'm shrinking it and I'm making it big, it's conforming. So there's a widget in Flutter called Layout Builder. So with Layout Builder, you can add some constraints. So you can say when my screen is bigger than 600, I want it to look like this. When my screen is less than 400, I want it to look like this. So that's one of the ways to build responsive designs. So not just to see how your fonts will look on the phone, a layout builder will also tell you, help you to lay out which which UI you want based on the design size, based on the constraints that you have put. So I think I did something. Let me see if I can pull out one of my old projects that I use Layout Builder for. I hope I can find it. There's a lot of special browser. Stand up. Cool. I don't think I can find it. There's a lot of projects. Sorry, I can't. So I think I added a video of it somewhere on my LinkedIn. So let's check that one. Who is that kid that is shouting? So that's 2 years ago. So I sort of viewed this Microsoft team. This was 2 years ago. I sort of viewed this Microsoft team and I used Layout Builder to layer it. So you can see this is how it's going to look on your phone. You see? This is how it's going to look for your phone. And as it becomes bigger, let's say you're on an iPad, it's going to look like this. Or when you reduce it on, and the more you are making it big, you see. Okay, this is how it looks on your iPad, sorry. This is how it looks on your Mac. You can see one code base, use Layout Builder to lay it out. You can see that it's pretty responsive. So that's one of the things that Flutter will help you with. So this was 2 years ago that I built that I just demoed how to use layouts. Okay, awesome. I hope you learned anything. You people have made me drill my class. Okay, someone says, what are the use of getters? So usually people, so one of the rules of clean code is that it's not to expose the internals of your class. So usually you just use getters to make someone access the property of your class without changing, without using, knowing the internals of how it works. That's one way to use getters. Okay. So now that you understand layouts, so I talked about the column. Now let's talk about the row. So now remember in our UI design, we have these boxes. So how do you do that? Now, inside the child, as one of the children of column, you have to remember I said this row will go here. This row we go here. This whole container. So let's build this whole container. Where does it go? It goes inside the column. Um, just after the last text. What do we want to do today? So now we will have a row. So we have the row. We can, so if you want to build like a container is, just think of container as, how do I explain container? Just think of container like a box. So you want to create a box and want to put in things inside it. The box you can decorate the box. You can wrap it nice and smooth. Make it the edges rounded and a whole lot of things. So usually you'll be using containers a lot. Some people don't use it that much, but I think it's good to. So let's say you want to create this. This is a container that has nice background. So inside the row, I'm going to create container. This constants is haunting me. So let's create our first container. We create another container. We create another container. So this, okay, so we created the first container. It's not going to show anything because we just only did layout. But what do we have access to in this container? We have access to the height. Let's say we want to give it a height of 40 and a width of 50. What does it show? Nothing. Let's change to size box because, yeah. So let's give it a color. Let's say I want to give it a color of red. You see? And you can see that we can add more containers and it will go from left to right. You can even have more containers, right? If you want to give it, so there are some properties. So when you are looking at main axis alignment, there's more properties for a row. You remember the column has cross axis from top to bottom, main axis from left to right. So you want to give it, let's say you want to put some space between. You see, spaces. We have added the spaces between each container. If you don't give the containers width, what is it going to do? It doesn't do anything because we have not tell it how much space it's going to get. So we can make it a little bit bigger. Let's make it like a square. And oh my God, it's too big. So all of it. So now there's an error here. It's saying an overflow error. When you see that error, that means that everything that you have put inside, so we put all these things inside a row. That means when Flutter is now layering all these things, it has become too big for it. So it doesn't have more space again. So when you take height 100, put it here, and we have 4, the thing is too big, so it will complain. And let me show you how to debug it. Let's see. So the overflowing render flex has an orientation of axis dot horizontal. So when you hear horizontal, you are hearing something that's in a row, right? Which is correct. These things are inside the row. The edge of the render flex that's overflowing has been marked in the yellow with a yellow and black strip. This is it. It's telling you caution. If you know driving rules, this shows caution. Oh, Nigerians, you people drive anyhow, so you don't have driving rules. Sorry. Okay. So this is usually caused by contents being too big. So this is too big. Consider applying a flex factor using an expanded widget. Is it Flutter has helped you to solve a part of it? So let's do exactly as Flutter said. They say you should consider applying. It's consider, they're not forcing you, but consider that applying it. So let's apply it. Let me give each one of these different colors so that you will see what we are doing. You see, there are different colors. They're just beside each other. Everything's not red. So let's consider adding expanded widget. That means each of the containers, we can wrap with expanded. It wants to be fixing itself, but in other screens, it may not actually work. So let's add every expanded to everything. So you see now, we added expanded to everything. Everything has equal size now. So with adding expanded, what is telling what this expanded is simply saying that the child fits the available space. So anytime you put an expanded, you are telling it to fit to expand to the available spaces. And in this case, they're telling it that it should expand from left to the right. So when it expands, you see that, oh, there's another expanded. This one too will now expand. This one too will now expand. So because all of them had the same expansion, so they give them the same width. In reality, this width does not matter again because it's from left to right, right? Everything still has same width. Now, let's say I want to make this one, this orange one, have twice as much space as the rest. I can give it a flex. I flex your muzzle 2 times and the others. You see, it has taken 2 times. So it now left this space for the three of them to be battling it, say, battle with the remaining. But for me, I'm gonna take 2 spaces. I'm gonna flex 2 muzzles. Or it says, I'm gonna flex 3. I don't care about you guys. Or it says, I'm gonna flex 6. I don't care about you guys. You're gonna take the rest of the spaces. I don't give a damn. So this is also one of the tricks for building responsive designs. Actually, it's going to let's see something. You can see that when I change the screen to the orientation to landscape, it still works because basically it has taken like 6 spots from the whole screen and left the remaining for these guys. Very stingy man. Let's roll our screen back. Boom. You get it? If you don't get it, forget about it. Okay. Why is this place so hot? It's 23 degrees outside and it's so hot. Okay. Oh, it's because maybe I'm teaching you people. So by default, the flex is 1. It's going to just take 1 space. Right? That is one consideration. Let's return it. We've come out removes the expand. Let's return it back. I've taught you expanded now. And you know when to use it. So let's return it back to this and look at our error again. You remember it mentioned that you should consider. So we have considered that. It worked. Someone is asking if Canada is hot. Canada is, it's summer now. There can be extreme heat during the summer. Canada is cold during winter, but yeah, someone is asking the space between is not having any effect. Yeah, because it won't have any effect because expanded just takes as much space as possible. So there's no space to space between. So expanded just flex all his muscle. That's why there's flex there. That's not the intent when they were building it. But in Nigerian way, it flexes his muscle. As much flex as you give it, it does. So there's no space for him for anything to operate. Okay. So like you see, English, don't they change your amount there? When I started this class, I was speaking really good English. You people have made all my English to finish. I was even doing accent. God. Oh, wow. Okay. To force the children to fit with the available space. So that's what happened there. Instead of being sized to their natural size. Always look at the errors, people. You're building, always look at the errors, understand what it means. Understand what exactly it means. Okay. I'll be happy if this is all we did in this class because layouts are important. But then during the week, I'll be dropping some UI for you guys to replicate using what we have learned in this class. That is, anytime I wrap column with somebody says, anytime I wrap column with single child scroll view, my page turns to be white. So let's actually look at why is that. And let's look at single child scroll view. What is it itself? A box. Look at it now. A box. And when you say you have a box should have a height and a width. A box in which a single widget. So you want the column widget to be scrolled, then you now wrap it with a single child scroll view. But single child scroll view puts it in a box, but there's no height and width that you are giving to it. So let's look at using single child scroll view with a column. See, they have even fixed your issue here. It's always good to be looking at documentation. People, people look at documentation now. You can see you have column, you have single child scroll view. What have they done? You can see that they put it in a constrained box. They constrain it, they give it a height. You can decide to wrap your column with a size box, give it a height, or use a constraint box, and then play around with the main axis. But make sure that when you're applying a single child scroll view, you have to give it some sort of size. Go read the documentation that fixed your issue. You will not see white again. Read documentation, oh, my people. Hey, okay. So where were we? And okay, so yeah, we are still debugging this. So we have done consideration. This is considered an error condition because it indicates that there is content that cannot be seen. So it lays it out, there is no content. If the content is legitimately bigger than the available space, boom, it's bigger. When you add all this with 100, it's sort of bigger than the size of the screen. See, consider clipping it with a clip rect widget before putting it in a deflex, or using a scrollable container rather than a flex. So in our case, you see that you see that this one goes here. The idea is that people will be able to scroll. So what they are saying is that if you think that, okay, you want everything to be of height 100 and width 100, consider instead of putting it a flex, the flex will just take the available space, which is the width of your screen. Okay, why not just use a list view then? So that it will scroll, so that it will just do that height and width of 100. Okay, so instead of using a row here, list view is also some sort of row, but it allows them to scroll. Row does not, but the list view allows you to scroll. So that brother that mentioned that they wrap their column with a single child scroll view. Have you tried, instead of a column, use a list view? List view will work too. The horizontal and vertical list view that has axis vertical too will probably work for you. So let's convert this to a list view. What is a list view? Create a scrollable linear array of widgets from a list of children. So it's create scrollable. So the keyword is scrollable. So here we need to let's see one of the properties. Scroll direction. You can see the default is vertical. If you put it like that, it's going to shout. So let's do the scroll direction to be horizontal, to go from left to right. Let's save that. It gives you an error. Let's look at our error. It don't break. It don't break you. So everything has disappeared. Let's see the error again. So horizontal viewport was given an unbounded height. And what is causing it? List view. So let's look at it. So what it's saying here is that, okay, yeah, you have your list view, but you want me to lay out all this container, but my list view does not have a height. Where exactly do I put it in? So list view just layouts containers, but it needs to know the size ahead of time, what to put there. A hack is to add a size. So look at it now, a size box. I wrap it in a size box. All the containers are height 100. I can say I want my height to be 100 here. You see, it puts it inside it. You can see that it's scrolling. So every container will be put, there's an imaginary box here that it puts it in. So you can put as many widget there. Everything will fit inside and not have that error. What is showing video there? And now we don't want to see your nakedness in this hot afternoon. I did put on Oluwa something something. Okay. Yeah, so another way, there's an option here. Shrink wrap. Let's see what it is. So I thought there's a sort of, I like to use documentation. Okay, so there's something here that says this constructor is appropriate from list view with a small number of children. Now, note this, when you are using a list view, if you have the children inside of it, the widget inside of it has to be small because it will need to know ahead of time what every child is and then render it. It can be a lot of work. So you imagine you want to render like 50 and it doesn't make sense for just list view. That's why some of you build apps that are really slow. So instead of that, you should use a constructor like list view builder. So what it does is that it builds it. See, this constructor is appropriate for large or infinite number because the builder is called only for children that are actually visible. So as user scrolls, it now starts to build it. It's appropriate from really large, which is what we are going to use. But for now, to just give you this. And let me remove this size. Oh, shrink wrap actually does not work. So I actually have to give it a height anyway. Yeah. Okay. So from the top here and the top here, how do I put another space? I can give it a size box. I'm going to give it a height of 20. And yeah. Do you know that you can also give sizes between each one? So there's a property, I like to use padding a lot. There's a property inside each container. You can say you just want to pad the right and give it a space. Let's see what does, is it padding or margin? This can be, oh, I don't think it's going to work because I'm inside the list view. Yeah. Inside the list view, so it just layers it beside each other. I think this view has its own padding. want to remove the default padding. We want to, because it applies to all the all elements, so we can't use this. Alternatively, we can tell it to also layout a size box too for each element, and we can have a size box as well. So in the real sense, yeah, there is a constructor I usually like to use, which is separated. Leave viewed as separated. It's also used for large number of items. And then it has a separator children. So this separator, you can return a widget there that automatically adds a separator between each widget. So you don't have to be doing things like this. So I usually like to use the separated widget. Okay, all right. Okay, so now we've touched about layout. So our layouts here over the week, we will actually build in our Discord channel. Maybe I'll make a couple of videos for you guys in preparation for next week so that we will build out this our home screen. Then by next week, we'll now hook it up with our API and then play some podcast actually. And the reason I'm doing it is that our schedule is supposed to have done API today, but we really need to understand these basics, because if I just talk about JSON and all these things today, a lot of people is not going to understand. So we are going to build out the layout throughout this whole week, and by next week we hook it up. And also I have a feeling that our last classes, if I follow the schedule, our last classes should not take as much time. So it's good to cascade some of these things over there. So good. We still have some plenty of things we need to talk about, state management and the likes. And sorry, Ade Peter, can you mute?
Don't get like this. No, I can't.
Oh my gosh. Let the people do that.
That's like cake.
Okay, so I mute. Okay, so yeah, so that is it. What do I want to talk about? What do I want to talk about? What do I want to talk about? I forgot. Okay, so as I mentioned, I'm going to, please make sure you're in this Discord, because I'm going to be dropping some UI for the app that we are building, and then you will implement it before next week. And if you have any issues, I want everybody to have been able to do it before next week's class, so that we will just start implementing off of it. At the end of this bootcamp, I want everybody to have this app completed so that you'll be able to add it to your portfolio. Some of you might not be able to host it because, number one, if you want to push it to Apple, you need an Apple developer account. I have an Apple developer account, which I've not pushed anything on it. So you need an Apple developer account. This is mine. I have empty 0 apps, but I will publish this on my Apple dev account. And to have an Apple development account, you need, is it $95? Yeah, I paid $95. And then you to have a Google Play account, you need $25. How do you? I usually just play console. Yeah, this is my developer account. They still verify my ID, but I'm going to publish it on Android and iOS. So if you have, you'll be able to publish yours. If not, well, to God be the glory. Yeah, someone is saying, which app is that? What app? What app are you talking about? The app that we are building in this bootcamp. I'm going to build an app, this podcast app that I are building. Okay. So any more questions? Do you have questions before we give it up for today? Make sure you are in our Discord place. So that's oh my god. Any other questions? Any questions, please? It's on post. Someone says thanks for today, and I'm not done with the class. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, so today we learned about layouts. I want to recommend that you actually go to this URL. So someone is asking, how do you pay for Apple developer account? Oh, sorry. You know, you people don't, you know, your cards does not work. I don't know anything about you people in Nigeria. Sorry. Yeah, I don't know anything about you people in Nigeria. All I know is that I added my credit card and it worked. Boom. So all you just need to do is go to Apple Developer with your $95. It's not a must. To you can just do for Play Store. Play Store is $25. And Google Play. I think Google Play will work for a couple of. You see, oh, it's not 95. It's 99, and it's an actual annual fee of $99. Annual fee. For Play Store, it's just 21 time $25. One time. Yeah. So as I mentioned, please look at these layouts and it will help you a lot. You can see you can create layouts. You can see aligning. I talked about main axis. You see main axis, cross axis. And then there are tutorials. There are tutorials that you can follow here. That you can just follow and it will help you. Everything is there. That's why Flutter is really good. And people that are asking for adaptive and responsive app, you see adaptive, responsive. You see I talked about layout builder. I talked about media query. So it gives you the size, orientation of your current app. I talked about all this, right? The other, yes, the other classes too, aspect ratio, orientation builder, and all other stuff. There are tutorials here. Flutter has everything. They even put the videos. So anything. You have everything. See, they even have tutorial on adaptive and UIs. You see how they are calculating. You see, we use the device width. And then I talked about media query. You can decide what to show based on decide if it's greater than 900 and all these things. And then we use layout builder. So Flutter is really good. Very good. You say styling to adapt your styles to the design so that your style will not be small on bigger screen. So it's pretty really good documentations out there. Flutter developers always read documentation. So a lot of things you're struggling with is because you never look at documentations. Okay, so yeah, thank you for this class. I hope you enjoyed it. We go against next week, but look out in the group and we will be building our UIs. So I've given you the basic of it now, and you will know how to build UIs. Okay, thank you very much. Let me stop recording. If you have questions, now is the time to ask them. You don't have questions? Okay.